And, of course, in the Kirk Gibson game, when Gibson hit the home run, look how much time he takes before he delivers one of the great home run calls in the history of baseball about the impossible has happened. He had such beautiful timing with every call that he made, and that only comes from someone who did it as long as he did, who loved the game as much as he did, and, of course, had such a tremendous feel for the game as he did.
Another perfect game he called was 1956, Don Larson in the World Series, and he famously said as they went to break in the ninth inning, he said, "I'm going to sit back, I'm going to light up and try not to chew the cigarette to pieces." He had a wonderful sense of humor as well about this game, Tim.
Yeah, he did. He was hysterically funny and very kind at the same time. He once said about Adrian Gonzalez, he has the speed of a file cabinet, which I think kind of sums up, you can't be real fast if you're a file cabinet, but he would drop little things in there all the time. And the reason he was able to understand was he would always go down into the visiting manager's office before a game and go in and introduce himself and say, "Do you have 5 minutes to talk to me about your team?" And of course, every visiting manager was more than happy to give the greatest baseball broadcaster of all time 5 minutes to talk about his team. That was the great thing about Vin Scully. Instead of acting like he was bigger and better than everyone else, which he was just someone who walked in like a reporter and sat down and said, "Tell me about your team."
That's fantastic. These photos we're looking at are just incredible, showing the arc of the life of a man that was the broadcaster for the Dodgers for 67 years, lived 94 full years. The Dodgers are playing the Giants as we speak. I mentioned a little kismet with the New York, Brooklyn to Los Angeles and California connections between those two teams. So the Dodgers are on the field as we speak. They're playing the Giants. But the Dodgers, in the midst of all of this, of course, have gathered their thoughts and have released this statement, which, Tim, I'm going to read verbatim on the air, and then we'll get a couple of more thoughts. This on Twitter, I'm going to read it in its entirety from the Dodgers. He was the voice of the Dodgers, and so much more. He was their conscience, their poet laureate, capturing their beauty and chronicling their glory from Jackie Robinson to Sandy Koufax, Kirk Gibson to Clayton Kershaw. It went on to say Vin Scully was the heartbeat of the Dodgers, and in so many ways the heartbeat of all of Los Angeles. Vin passed away at the age of 94 on August 2nd, 2022. "We have lost an icon," said Dodger President and CEO Stan Kasten. The Dodgers' Vin Scully was one of the greatest voices in all of sports. He was a giant of a man, not only as a broadcaster, but as a humanitarian. He loved people. He loved life. He loved baseball and the Dodgers, and he loved his family. The statement goes on to say, "His voice will always be heard and etched in all of our minds forever. I know he was looking forward to joining the love of his life, Sandy." She recently passed away from ALS. It's been difficult. That has been well chronicled. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his family during this very difficult time. Vin will be truly missed. Tim, you spent 4 decades carving words, and that got you into Cooperstown. What do you make of the words the Dodgers just released on a man who we're showing here being given the Presidential Medal of Freedom?
Well, those are beautiful words. They bring a tear to my eye just hearing those words. And when you think about the Dodgers and you start coming up with the Mount Rushmore of Dodgers all time, I mean, it's Jackie Robinson, Vin Scully, Sandy Koufax, and then maybe Clayton Kershaw. But, Vin Scully is right in the middle of that discussion. I have a friend who told me that all he ever wanted to do, he's a younger man, all he ever wanted to do was listen to the Dodgers win the World Series and be sitting with his father listening to Vin Scully call that. That was his dream in life, was for the Dodgers to win the World Series, be with his father, and listen to Vin describe that. That speaks a lot to Vin Scully.
I mean, players get their first hit, right? They want that baseball back. Guys wanted Vin Scully to call their games too. Right? He was respected up and and from guys in 1950 when he started to 2016 when they left. Like, he had the appreciation of every generation he called, Tim Kurkjian.
He did, and the last regular season game that he called, Charlie Culberson hit a walk-off home run, and the Dodgers won that game. And I will never forget Vin Scully saluting Charlie Culberson for his walk-off home run. And Charlie is like he's like he doesn't even know what to do. He's just hit a walk-off homer, but the greatest broadcaster of all time is saluting him as he says goodbye to his regular season career. I'm pretty sure that meant an awful lot to Charlie Culberson.
What a story. It takes us back to what Jeremy Schaap said a moment ago. Even when it was about him, it was never about him. That's the prime example of that. Tim, thanks for your stroll down memory lane to help us remember a true giant in baseball. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much, guys.
You got it. Vin Scully was 94 years old. Our coverage continues all night long. SportsCenter from Los Angeles, the town that absolutely loved Vin Scully. They'll have much more coming up at the top of the hour. We'll be right back after this.